Hey there, so welcome back to this day three or part three of a 10-part video series on Azure Cloud for absolute beginners, where we're looking at everything from basics, entire end-to-end Azure Cloud, so you understand this Azure Cloud as well. So this is we're going to look at things like Azure Portal, which is a graphical user interface, Cloud Shell, and within Cloud Shell, two parts, Bash and PowerShell as well. Also Azure CLI that you can install on your Mac or Windows machine. And then we'll also look at the ARM template and biceps, which are infrastructure as service as well. Now, just to give you context, if you're jumping and coming on directly here, as I said at the start, and I think I'm repeating this again and again, just want to reiterate for someone who comes and jump on the middle, is that these clips are taken from a day one of a Azure in-depth bootcamp. So there might be some question answers, and so pay special attention, and there'll be discussion going on. And if you don't enjoy them, you can fast forward. But otherwise, pay special attention to those question answers as well. And if you want to be notified, and if you've not yet joined, keep repeating. I'm going to reiterate them again because sometimes people miss them. To announcement group, WhatsApp announcement group, K21Academy.com/Azure WA. And if you missed part one and part two, they'll be available on K21Academy.com/Azure day one, or it should be on the playlist if you're watching this in YouTube on the way you're watching that. And if you're absolute beginners, you can watch by going to Cloud for Absolute Beginners. I'm not going to repeat that now going forward, but yeah, let's go and watch directly now management tools for Microsoft Azure Cloud.
Now, to plan and work with this particular activity, there are a couple of tools are available, right? There are like management or operation tools are available, which we can use it in terms of planning and working with the services what we are like looking at it. So here, first option is basically starting with portal. So Azure is offering you a particular Azure portal where you can plan and work with your services all together. There are three portals available. One is portal.azure.com where you see the standard environment. There is one more portal called preview.portal.azure.com. Okay. So this portal I can say launched in the year almost 2016. Okay, this portal has been launched in year 2016, and this portal available since then. And here I can consider that this is something probably we can think of, or maybe you can consider that this particular portal is something available, or maybe you can say it is available to work with your UI point of view. So usually what is happening, if you see it here, it's preview written, and this one is like general Microsoft Azure. So why this preview portal? So when Microsoft switch from their old portal to this new one, they launched this particular ARM one, Azure Resource Manager based portal, and they came up with the idea that in case going forward any future in future, like they're gonna come up with any UI changes or UI enhancement, then they will perform that activity in this preview portal mostly, and then they will roll out for the all the users into this particular actual portal what they have. So preview.portal.azure.com is like I can say their dev portal probably, where they are keeping their services and UI enhanced. There is no difference in pricing, in provisioning, there is no difference. Only probably the UI enhancement, or only the preview side what they have launched separately from 2016 onwards. There is one more portal called ea.azure.com. So ea.azure.com, basically it's enterprise agreement. If I have if I have enterprise agreement access, then in that particular enterprise agreement, I will be able to manage the organizational structure the way I was talking about that management group or that restaurant chain project. They were having this particular enterprise agreement in place. I was playing a role of cloud governance architect in that project. So I need to come up with many recommendations in terms of you can say reserve instance point of view, naming convention, tagging, security compliance, and many other particular area I need to provide a recommendation on the governance side. I was playing a role of cloud governance architect, and in that case, I need access that okay, what is budgeting allocated to each business unit, how much allocated versus consumption so far, and accordingly, the leadership supposed to make a future budget planning for their particular resource and all that. So in that case, they have purchased this enterprise agreement from Microsoft, and in that case, they were having this another portal where they can manage all this management group, the budgeting, the finance, and many other activity associated to that particular organization. So this is another portal where you can say ea.azure.com basically exists, where enterprise agreement or subscription works over here, and that way at least you can manage your particular pricing criteria and all. Now, if you see, this user doesn't have access to the this particular portal because the subscription belongs to this particular user is not an enterprise agreement, so that it is a standard subscription, pay as you go, or maybe any other particular standard subscription. So then you do not have those ea.azure.com in place. So here, whenever we are planning to go with this particular environment, we can identify or we can visualize that what sort of approach, what sort of activity we have, and then accordingly, probably you can simply plan and manage and work with your particular enterprise agreement in place the way it is expected. So the ultimate goal over here is that to provide you a kind of option, or maybe you can say provide you a kind of activity where you can associate your particular subscriptions and you can operate all of them via this particular portal. So this is like a kind of standard portal what we have it in access from the operation tool point of view. You can provision all different type of services via portal UI. Uh, you can search your services from this global search box. So here you can search anything and everything which is available in the Azure. You can search it over here and you can deploy it. Be it like third-party service provider services or vendor provided services or Azure native services, anything and everything available under this search box. You have a Cloud Shell. So Cloud Shell is basically a combination of two elements. One is basically bash command, which is like focus on CLI, command line interface, and PowerShell. So people who belongs to Windows operating systems and all, then they might be familiar with PowerShell commandlet, and people who all are familiar with Linux and all, then you might be familiar with Linux command and all. So in that case, you have this user interface available where you can simply work with the specific command line interface, and then accordingly you will be able to work with those particular command line into cloud itself. So it's a kind of approach available where you just need to simply work with your commands, and that these commands probably you will be able to plan and manage and work with those activity or maybe work with those particular options the way it is expected. So it's more about planning and working with your particular operational activity in cloud. So Cloud Shell is built in, you can say command line interface or maybe a kind of command line tool available in portal itself. We do have notification panel. So as soon as you provision any service or any configurations and anything, you will get to know that what is happening. Is it failing? Is it processing, or what is going on? So kind of notification you will be able to see over here. This is your portal settings. So if I wanted to change and modify my UI and all, right? So right now, for example, I have my tenant or my directory associated with this particular user. I have like appearance. So right now this is basically the docked menu. If I say no, I wanted to go ahead with flyout, and if I click on apply, then this one menu on left hand side will get hide. And if you want to bring in again, you just click on this hamburger icon, and then it will open up, or dock menu, whatever you want to call it out, it will get open up. So you can create and manage this particular layout, color combinations and all of that, right? You have language region, your personal information related to user, and sign out and notifications and other stuff will be available as a part of this environment. So this is your portal settings. This is like a particular support activity. So support and troubleshooting. So for example, you are working in your subscription. It may be possible sometimes you may get stuck somewhere and you need to raise a support ticket to Microsoft, right? So I was giving that restaurant chain scenario. So I was playing a role of migration architect as well. So Initially when I started, it was more about governance, but slowly and gradually, like the input I gave and all that stuff, so the project got converted into even migration as well. So customer, when we were doing server migration from on-prem to cloud, so we were facing a lot of challenges in certain workload and certain infra and all that. So we are supposed to raise a support ticket to Microsoft Azure. So in that case, we used to go through with this. So you can purchase different set of support plan, right? And they might have like developer plan, architect plan, and all that. So these plans basically help you out in terms of support activity. That if you get stuck somewhere and you want to resolve certain kind of activities, then you can purchase a support plan, and then your problem statement will get addressed accordingly. And last but not least, in terms of portal feedback. So if you feel that something is wrong, not you are finding well, then probably you can give a feedback to Microsoft as well, so that they can basically like revert back and help you out, or probably take your feedback positively, and probably if in case anything a valid feedback, they can incorporate into the future releases as well. So that way at least you will get to know. On the left hand side, if I click on this create resource, so create resource will take you to the categorization, and from this categorization you can provision services from marketplace. So here if you see, these services belongs to Azure, and these side services belongs to marketplace vendor provided. So for example, if I say compute, right? So these services are Azure native compute services provided by Microsoft Azure, and on right hand side, compute services provided by Microsoft, but along with other license vendor also added. So if you see, Windows Server 2022 is also included under this marketplace, since it's Microsoft product, but it is available as a license, so that it is considered or listed out over here. So if we wanted any specific instance to be provisioned, any service to be provisioned, we can pick and choose services coming from this particular categorization, right? So here we have understood portal, cloud shell, right? So even Azure is offering you a particular Azure REST APIs. As in developer, if you feel that you wanted to create your own portal, something like Azure, you are feel free to do so. I have seen one organization where they have created something, a custom portal, where they integrated one portal for AWS and Azure, both of them under single particular portal. So if I want to log in with Azure, then I will provide my Azure credential, and if I want to log in with my AWS, I will provide my AWS credential. They don't need to log into two separate portals. It was single UI created, and there was two login interface, so that they were able to connect and access it. So it was like SharePoint tab they have created somehow. So the purpose of this activity is to provide you a kind of developing your own solution. You can call Azure solutions and APIs via Azure REST API, and probably you can access all the service parameters, properties, and everything with the help of this particular REST API is available. You also have Azure SDKs, right? So being a developer, I don't want to develop anything, but I wanted to consume Azure services win my application via Azure SDK. So there are popular frameworks are supported: Java, .NET, Python, PHP, C, C++, right? So all that particular frameworks are supported. So if you wanted to go ahead with your development activity, you can simply connect with this particular frameworks and work with those environment. If you see, there are other additional development operation tools are supported, and these tools you can download on your local laptop desktops, and these tools can be connecting you these tools can connect you to the Azure specific services operationally, and then you can manage them or work with those particular component altogether. So ultimately, the goal over here is that when you are planning to work with any of this particular component, you have a different particular management tools, right? So I have explained this, so I'm just going through with the next Azure CLI, PowerShell. You can have, yeah, I'll come to this ARM template and all. So in general, like these are some of the options are available. Now, what is ARM template also? So here, if I want to add, let's say under single umbrella operation tools, so here I can say portal, cloud shell with CLI, and PowerShell. We can have Azure REST APIs. We can have Azure SDKs. We can have Azure Resource Manager template. They are now also known as Azure Bicep template. Okay. So these are some of the you can say operational tools are available which you can use it for connecting and working with services. Now ARM, Azure Resource Manager template or Azure Bicep template, known as, or they are part of the category called IAC. IAC stands for infrastructure as a code, right? So nowadays ISE, infrastructure as a code, becoming or it's gaining a lot of traction in market. A lot of enterprises who wanted to provision and manage their particular infrastructure, then in that particular case, instead of manually provisioning them, they are going ahead with some sort of ISE, infrastructure as a code, and host these particular services repetitively in their target environment, right? So here we can use this particular ARM template. We can use this particular Bicep template. Bicep is like, I can say they are more fine-tuned version or extended version of ARM template. So here I can say ARM template like more complex, whereas the Bicep is like they have tried making it more simplified. So there are other third-party tools also available in market like Terraform, Ansible, Chef, Puppet, right? So these are some of the scripting tool or particular you can say infrastructure as a code, infrastructure as a code templates and other stuff available in market, which we can use it for working with those particular component in place. So in general, like whenever we are planning or we wanted to go ahead with any of this particular component to be utilized, then we can work with that. So Azure Resource Manager template. So in Azure portal, there is a limitation. Okay, you cannot provision multiple resource at one go. If you want to provision via portal, then you have to provision them one by one. Like let's say in my application, I need web application, virtual machine, database, network, storage, disk, everything I wanted together for one application. Then there is no option available that at one click you deploy everything together, right? You have to go through with those services, connect and link with them with each other, and then you will be able to do it. Whereas in the here in the place of this ISE or infrastructure as a code, you have a possibility where you can create and configure your particular services. You will be able to plan and manage and combine those particular components and elements all together, and then it will help you out in terms of deploying and managing your particular services all together. So ultimately, the goal over here is that to provide you a kind of option, or maybe you can say provide you a kind of activity where you can automate your particular services together. So ARM template or Bicep template provide you a kind of option where you club all the resources under single template, or maybe there might be a dependency of multiple templates like connected with each other, and then they deploy all the services for your environment. So these are some of the management and operation tools available which we can use it. If you are a developer, then maybe you can use Visual Studio Code, Visual Studio, or any developer tool like IDE, Eclipse and all that. If operation point of view, maybe this Cloud Shell and many other particular options are there which we can use it operationally and work with those particular services in place. So ultimately the goal over here is that to provide you a kind of access towards the services what we are like looking at it.
Well, that was our expert, and thank you so much for staying with us till the end of the video. Now, all you have to do is just click the link in the description below, or if you are just starting out, just type k21academy.com/azure02. Now, all you have to do is just enter name, enter email ID, enter phone number, and click on register now. and you will be redirected to this page. You can also add this to your Google Calendar or Apple Calendar, and I promise this is something that you don't want to miss. So go ahead, click on the link and step into the world where learning knows no boundaries. Till then, keep enjoying. I'll see you in the next video.
Well, that was a clip taken from day one of talking everything about management tools like Azure Portal, Cloud Shell, PowerShell, ARM templates, etc. as well. Now, in the next part of, I think it's part four, we're going to talk everything about compute, which is about all the different cloud compute services like virtual machines, app services, containers, Kubernetes, Azure Virtual Desktop, and we'll be actually creating some machines as well inside that tomorrow or next part, which is a scale set and availability set, everything that you need to know about those things as well. Now, as I said at the start, as well. If you've not yet joined, keep repeating and keep bumping till you till the time you join, or leave me a comment saying you've done it. So I stop talking about them. So join our WhatsApp group, which is K21Academy.com/Azure WA, which is a WhatsApp group. Also, watch part one, two, and this part in K21Academy.com/Azure Day One, and I'll be listing all the parts in this one. So if you're watching that maybe a month later or 2 months later, then you can binge watch all of them in one single page as well. Also, Cloud for Beginners I've already mentioned, and yeah, don't forget to share with your friends and colleagues and do like, and that will help notify to or indicate to YouTube that you're enjoying this session. And if not, if you need any other question, help, do leave them under the comment section as well. With that, this is Atul from Team K21 Academy. We'll see next video about the compute. Take care and bye for now.